All right, we're going to be joined here in just 1 second by Annie Cyrus. We were going to have Jason on, but something's come up with Jason, so we'll get Jason rescheduled. Annie, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me back, Brannon.
Are you enjoying tonight's show?
I am very much, especially your last guest. He's definitely good.
He's good, isn't he? All right, so I'm calling you. I called you today because I saw this. U.S. confirms that Al Qaeda top man is in Iran. That caught my eye. I don't really know why it caught my eye, but other than the fact that I know that Al Qaeda has been threatening America, and I'm thinking, well, if their top guys in Iran, that's not good for America. If we got an Iranian being snuck into the back of a trunk at the border when he could just walk right in like everybody else. So apparently they didn't want him here. He's apparently is Islamic Revolutionary Guard. We've got Al Qaeda and terror cells that we've had to worry about and think about, but they haven't been very strong. I don't think Al Qaeda is Iran going to help build them back up? What's going on here?
Well, so Al Qaeda was kind of fading away until Taliban took over.
Okay.
Remember, when Taliban came into Afghanistan, is when the ISIS-K and Al Qaeda started kind of coming back up. And then during all the negotiation between Iran and US, indirect negotiations, Iran has started getting their hands on a lot of money again, where they started funding Al Qaeda again.
And what do you think how do you think Iran is going to use Al Qaeda for their objectives?
Well, inside Middle East, they are enabling or empowering Al Qaeda again for two reasons. One, considering the uprising going on in the country right now that has lasted, since September, they need backup. The last time they requested soldiers from Hezbollah didn't provide them with enough soldiers inside the country. So
Al Qaeda is coming in to help crush the revolution in Iran.
Yes, that's one of the reasons that they're funding them. On the other hand, considering how Saudi Arabia is kind of making waves in Middle East as far as power goes, now Taliban is not going to go up against Saudi Arabia, but Al Qaeda will willingly go up against Saudi Arabia. So that's the Middle East situation. But then you do know we have a lot of Al Qaeda members here in the United States and Canada.
Yes.
So when they need attacks, being IRGC needing attacks, they can just use their allies, being Al Qaeda members, to carry out attacks here in Canada and United States of America.
And that was originally why I contacted you, because I thought, do we have to worry about Al Qaeda attacks in America if Iran is going to be helping them and funding them?
Yes, you do need to. Well, generally, especially with what came out today, with Islamic Republic of Iran and United States of America's government negotiating again. This time it's prisoner exchange, but it's a different scenario. We're not releasing any prisoners. We're receiving prisoners. So 3 Iranian American prisoners to be released. In return, we're going to unfreeze more assets of Islamic Republic of Iran in South Korea, meaning they're going to get their hands on more money. So with that being said, we are basically refunding or more funding. I don't even know what's in proper English, but we're basically our regime here is funding the enemy. So when they need to come kill us, they have the money to do it.
Okay, so the Biden regime is funding Iran, so Iran has the money to kill us.
Pretty much.
And
exactly.
pay off their buddies like Al Qaeda to do the work.
Exactly.
And we know that where Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, where he stands on all this, he's the one that got all this going. So we know he's sympathetic to the cause of Iran. We also know there's a red-green axis, the red being the Marxist, the green being an Islamist. And we know that this Biden regime is cozied up with the Marxist. And we know that Anita Dunn, one of the top presidential advisors to Biden, Anita Dunn, we have her on video saying one of her favorite philosophers is Mao, as in the leader of China that slaughtered so many, the little red book, Mao. That's one of her philosophical thought leaders. I got her on video saying it. So
yes,
when we have those kind of people in the White House, they clear, and then you've got the woman near Obama, the woman that is close to
Valerie Jarrett.
Yes, she seems very sympathetic to the Islamic cause. I think her dad spent some time in Iran as a doctor or something. So we got
She
the
was
yeah.
she was actually born there herself, not to a Persian parents, but she was born while her father was stationed in Iran.
So you got a red-green axis in the White House and in the orbit. So it makes sense that they would work with Iran, fund Iran, then Iran would use some of that money to fund the different splinter groups that they could use to help bring down America. Because after all, isn't that why Biden was put where he was, to bring down America?
That's exactly, well, that's 100% accurate. And that's the thing. Every time somebody says this group is done, that group is done, I always tell people, they don't go anywhere. They exchange power for a while, depend on the scenario, depend on the funding, depend on who's needed more. But none of them are ever going to disappear as long as United States of America is going to continue funding them. Are we funding them directly? No. Well, we are funding Taliban directly, and we're funding Iran directly. But then Taliban and regime of Iran are directly funding them. So we're basically indirectly funding them.
And we gave the Taliban $85 billion in weaponry when we abandoned Afghanistan. Some of that, went to Iran. But then, of course, we have China rushing into Afghanistan for all the mineral rights.
Correct. And now we also did make an agreement with Taliban. I released, I think it was on your show, that I released a letter that was signed, a document that it was an agreement that we will not go after Taliban no matter what. And that explained the situation at the airport in Kabul when we were withdrawing from Afghanistan, because we have an agreement not to go after Taliban. That on its own is funding, right so there.
What else?
Not being afraid of us.
What else are you following?
The biggest thing I'm following right now is the negotiation. Again, indirect negotiation. That is a lot of money, and in return, we're getting 3 prisoners. I mean, I should technically be happy, but I'm tired of 44 years of Iran's regime holding Americans hostages, America giving them money, they take more hostages, we give them more money, on and on and on. It's becoming frustrating where our citizens are being played and used and abused by our own regime and the Iranian regime to just exchange money. It's kind of like money laundering going on for 44 years. Last week marked the 44th year of their invasion of Iran. So that is the closest thing, because I really want to know how much more we're going to give them, and if we're going to get those 3 prisoners, because one of those 3 prisoners, we already negotiated his freedom. He was freed for 1 week, and then before exiting the country, taken back into prison. So this is the second negotiation over Namazi. Wow. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
All right, tell our audience about your show that I carry your full hour over on my network. What's your show?
Sure. Live Up to Freedom is, it's basically the same show I have here, except that I do have 1 hour now instead of half an hour. For those of you who kept asking for a full hour show of Annie Cyrus, now you can watch it from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time on WVWTV.com. It's a live show, and I mainly cover, or I try to cover, the news on the first half and then some Islamic teaching on the second half. And it is always posted on your website, worldviewweekend.com, about an hour or so after my show. That is Monday through Friday.
All right. Annie Cyrus, liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.com. We carry her full show for an hour at WVWTV.com. And we post it on WVW TV as on demand. And you post it at frankspeech.com as well, correct?
Yes. But I only post the first half an hour on Frank to Speech, so if they want to watch the full hour, they still have to go to your website, WVWTV.com, to watch the full hour.
Thank you, Annie. Her website, again, folks, liveuptofreedom.com. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you, Brannon.